All right. Shalom. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who does lead and rule well. Salutations to all you hopeful like Akim, pushing out this word in truth and in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And sincere shalom also to you Akim and Akwaf, listening and learning, preparing yourselves here in these last days. All right, and to the entire household of faith, fighting this good fight of faith, I want to say shalom. This is your brother Quar from the DC camp. Come back at you another lesson. And I'm entitled to this one, Sacrifice is Essential in This Walk. All right. And, I was just looking at this post that I seen and I captured the picture. And you see it say distraction, and then it says traction, and then this, and then it's action, and then it says you have to remove some things to remain within the right thing. And that's right, especially when it comes to this truth, man. That's even more so prevalent when it comes to this truth. You have to, in order to stay in this thing, you're gonna have to remove certain things, and that's why I said sacrifice. But I'm gonna look up both of those words in the etymon online right now. Dang, what it? Okay, I'm gonna look up distraction first. All right, it says the drawing away of the mind from one point or course to another or others. All right, a pulling apart, separating, drawn in different directions. Okay, so you gotta be focused, man. And in order to focus on this thing that of ours, you gotta remove certain things, man. If you are unable to come up with lessons, if you not in the doing the work in the ministry, you got to make some changes in your life so that you can do these things that is needful. All right, so you can do the things that's prescribed that the Lord told us that we needed to do. All right. Let me see. Sacrifice. It says the offering of something, especially a life, to a deity as an act of propitiation, homage, etc., that which is offered in sacrifice. So we doing this for the Lord. All right. Matter of fact, let me go to the actual definition. Sacrifice. It says that goes into that. It says, all right, the second definition, it says the act of giving up something highly valued for the sake of something else considered to have a greater value or claim. Okay, so this is what we're gonna have to do. In order for us to what did I say? I said something. I forget. I forget what I said. Okay, here we go. Sacrifice, is essential in living a godly life, man. In order to please the Lord, there are things we're gonna have to give up in this world in order to have time to do the things that He needs us to do, man. So that's a core aspect of living godly in this thing, man. Because you have to dedicate. Because that's another word. You have to dedicate yourselves more fully to serving and pleasing the Lord, man. All right, so we got to prioritize our spiritual growth. We got to have time and energy for this thing. You got to build up the church, have relationships with the church. The service and the ministry, man. And it comes with self-denial. It comes with humility, man. All right, even if it's against some of the cultural norms, man. It says same excess of right. Let me get that. Real quick. This is 1 Peter 4. I'm gonna start at the top. It says, keep fervent in your love. 1 Peter 4:1. For as much then as Hamashiach have suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. All right, for he that have suffered in the flesh have ceased from sin. So this is a part of it. You know, this is a part of our carrying our cross. All right, we have to suffer. It's going to be certain things that we don't like, that we have to give up. You know, it says that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of the Most High. For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles when we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatry. Sometimes you can't constantly you going out. You know, that's the thing. How you going out on the weekends and you haven't done a video? You know, that's just showing you where your priorities is, man. It says, wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you. So you might lose friends. You might lose a woman. You know, worse situations, you might lose a child, your job, you know, depending on, you know, the situation, man. But if you constantly not giving the energy to this word, to this gospel, to this ministry, then you're giving it else. You got to make a change, because you're dedicating too much of that of your life to that and not to the ministry. Then you're not making your body a living sacrifice, man. You know, and sacrifice isn't all about just giving something up, but it's about creating space for spiritual fulfillments, man. You know, and aligning yourself with the Most High's will, man. That's what it says. It said that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of the Most High. You know, so each sacrifice is a stepping stone towards a deeper relationship with the Lord, man. That's what it comes down to. All right, and this is just a encouragement. And this is this song that's playing. It says Kodash from it's a prophetic warfare prayer instrumental. I'm trying to find the unceasing fruitfulness, you know, is on YouTube, and because they be trying to give me copyrights and stuff, you know. I'm not profiting off of this. I'm just you know, got some background music playing, man, you know. But anyways, let's get back into it. All right, you got where was that? So you got the distraction part, you know. So that's the stuff that's pulling you away from your goals, you know. Unnecessary. At the end of the day, it's unnecessary things, man. You know, because it's not getting you to the kingdom. Now, the scripture says this: entangleth. Let me get that. Second Timothy 2 and verse 1. It says, thou therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Hamashiach Yahushua, and the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. And that's our job. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Hamashiach Yahushua. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. And this is why Paul, let me see, entangleth. It says to involve yourself in, entangle. This is why Paul said he will rather you be as him and have no woman, because a man with a woman care for the things of this world, how that he may please his wife. Not saying don't get one, but in this time that we in, you know, that's why he gave that advice, just showing you where your priority should be at, especially now in these last days, man. So if you somebody that get distracted by that, Remember, every man is different. Some men can deal with multiple, some can't deal with none, or even one is too much, you know. So you got to know yourself, You got to cut certain things off that is not conducive to you putting in this work, man. Hold up. It's another one. This is Matthew 13, and this is talking about the parable of the sower. Matthew 13:3 says, and he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, behold, a sower went forth to sow, and when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. It says, and some fell among the thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some in 100-fold, some 60-fold, and some 30-fold. Who have ears to hear, let them hear. Now he's going to explain it. It says, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou to them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it is given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So it's not for everybody. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever have not, from him shall be taken away even that he have. Therefore speak I to them in parables. Hold up. I'm going to jump down. Salakia. I don't want to go that deep into it. I'm going to jump down to verse 18. It says, hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. Remember, this devil is going to and fro the earth, like a roaring lion, seeing whom he may devour. And he's not just it's not going to just be some type of evil. It could be a gift, because a gift destroys the heart. It could be a woman. It could be a child. It could be a job. Remember, when Yahushua was being tempted, he tried to offer him everything. But if it don't align with this truth, you gonna have you gotta make some changes, man. But he that received the seed into the stony places, the same as he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but endureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. So hey, make sure you keep your garden trimmed, man. You don't want to have all these thorns around you, and you think that it's not, that you can just maintain. Now these things choke the word out of you, man. And remember, we was commanded to bring forth fruit, man. All right, so you got, like I said, you got the distraction. Then they said the traction that represents the progress, man, and movement towards your goal. That's more aligned with your purpose. And then you got the action. All right, that's the steps you take forward, man. That's when you actually put something into plan and you execute that. All right, and then that's when you're gonna see that growth, man. So you got to identify and eliminate unnecessary commitments, man. Really, just prioritize the truth. It got to come first. You got to break down what are your goals, man. And how can you reach it? What's most meaningful to you, and then you got to trim away the other stuff, man. All right. And then you again, we constantly examine ourselves. You got to regularly review your progress, man. Make sure that you're on the right path, man. Okay. What was that? There was another one I was just thinking of. I'm not gonna let it escape me. Give me 1 second. Yeah, Luke the 9th chapter. This is Luke 9. And this is Luke 9 and verse 23. It says, and he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. Okay? So, hey, you have to deny yourself, man. You know, and you pretty much losing your life for the sake of the Lord, man. You know, our lives is hid with the Lord, and we're going to receive our reward. That's why many people can't do this thing if they don't have the vision. If they can't see it, they're going to care more about the things of this world. You wasn't able to put off this world in order to gain your Yahushua. You know? That reminds me of something that Paul said. Philippians, the 3rd chapter says the goal of life. He was talking about what he did, the status he had, how he was concerning the law and the church. But check this out. This is Philippians 3 verse 7. It says, but what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Hamashiach. Yeah, doubtless. And I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Hamashiach, Yahushua, my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of many things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Hamashiach, and be found in him, not having mine own righteousness which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Hamashiach, the righteousness which is of the Most High by faith. All right. That I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death, if by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead. Because that's what we're looking forward to, man. You know? It says, not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which also I am apprehended of Yahushua HaMashiach. All right? It says, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of the Most High in Hamashiach Yahushua. All right, let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded, and in anything ye be otherwise minded, the Most High shall reveal even this unto you. All right, and so that's why I'm doing this lesson, man. You know, and we got to walk by the same rule. We got to have the same mind, the same fervency towards this thing, man. You know, this is Galatians 2 in verse 20. I am crucified with Hamashiach. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Hamashiach liveth in me. Remember, this is the sacrifice that he's making. You know, he's living his life for the Lord now. We are not our own. It says, and the life which I now live, and the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of the Most High, who loved me and gave himself for me. All right. I do not frustrate the grace of the Most High, for if righteousness come by the law, then Hamashiach is dead in vain. You know, talking about your own righteousness right there. You know. Let me see. What else do I want to grab? It was the story I was reading. All right, this is was it Luke? Yeah, Luke 10. Towards the end. All right. Luke 10, and it says Martha and Mary. All right. It says, now it came to pass, Luke 10 and 38. Now it came to pass as they went that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Yahushua's feet and heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister have left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she may help me. That she help me. And Yahushua answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful, and Mary have chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. So it was more important for her to be listening to this word than whatever she wanted to be doing. You know, so Mary, she actually listened to it. She was sitting at the Lord's feet. You know, that he said that's the one thing that's more needful. Okay. Let me see. Didn't have this one written down. Yeah, Matthew 18:8. Matthew 18:8. Woe to the verse 7. Matthew 18:7. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to the man by whom the offense cometh. Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off and cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life halt or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet that be cast into everlasting fire. All right. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life with 1 eye rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into hellfire. So, listen, whatever it is, you know what I mean? If it's going to lead you into the hellfire, if it's pulling you away from this truth, that you need to cut off. Okay? Now, stumbling blocks is going to be there, but the elect is not going to bother them. The elect is going to keep going. You know, the elect is not going to stumble, man. But the stumbling blocks is going to be there for the people that ain't the elect. Just like the parable of the sower, the Satan, the wicked one, going to come. And whatever he got for you, whatever it is that can pull you away, that's what it's going to be, man. Okay? So we just have to, you know, understand the time that we in, man. What's that? 38. Haha, I'm right here. Shoot. Stop texting me. Nah, that's not what I want. Nah, that's not what I wanted. Alright, let me get a couple more and I'm gonna close. This is Matthew 6 and verse 33. It says, but seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Okay? Colossians 3 and verse 2 or 1. It says, if ye then be risen with Hamashiach, seek those things which are above, where Hamashiach sitteth on the right hand of the Most High. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. All right. Yeah, this is where moth and rust does corrupt, man. You know. I think that's pretty much the point, man, that I wanted to make. Let me get one more. This is Proverbs, I believe. It's Proverbs 4. This is Proverbs 4 and verse 23. It says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a forward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. All right, so if this is focus on, careful consideration, for your actions, man, and that you stay on the right path, man, and identify these different distractions. You come up with a plan and then you put it into action. Okay. So again, you have to remove some things to remain within the right thing, and this is the right thing. This is the more needful thing, man. Lord's willing, that was edifying to the next lesson. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Again, I want to say Shalom.